Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 2 Unit 4.7, 4.14 Review B. Remember to show your work whenever possible and circle your final answers. So question number 1. Does the graph y equals negative 3x plus 7x minus 2 open up or down? To figure that out, we need to look at our leading coefficient, the quadratic term with the x squared. And since it's negative, I know that it's going to open down. Okay, so for number 2, we would do the same thing. We look at the equation. Okay, our first one is in standard form. I don't know if you want to write that down or not. This is standard form, and this is vertex form. So once again, we look at the guy out front, and this time it's the A, and it's positive. So when it's positive, it would open up. All right. So number 3, it's asking which graph has a range of negative infinity to 1. Remember, when we're talking about range, I want to go from low to high. Okay, sorry, not height. And the range is our y values. So from here, I'm going from 1 to positive infinity. So it's not 1. B, I'm starting at negative infinity down here as these graphs keep going lower, and then it comes all the way up and it stops at 1. So B is my correct answer. Now C, we haven't talked about that stuff yet, so you don't need to worry about it. Okay, write the equation of the function shown, then determine the domain and the range and state the intervals over which of the function increases, decreases, where f is greater than or equal to 0 and where f is less than or equal to 0. Okay, so the equation. If I'm doing the equation, the two things that we need to know is we need to know what my A is, and I need to know the vertex. So there's the vertex. The vertex is -4, +4, and it looks like A equals a -1. So we would say that f of x equals, because there's no shading, -1, and then we take the opposite of the first 4, make sure it's squared, and the other 4 stays the same. Okay, so next we're talking about solutions. And the solutions are where the graph touches the x-axis. And those are the points -6, 0 and -2, 0. So we would say that the solutions are when x equals -6 and -2. Our domain, we should be very good with the domain right now. That's from left to right. Negative infinity to positive infinity. Next is our range, our y values, and remember that the y values go from low to high. So the lowest this guy goes is negative infinity, but then we stop at 4. So my range would be from negative infinity to +4. Now, increasing is when it is rising. We are rising on the left side, and that is from negative infinity to -4. And then we are decreasing, we are falling, okay? Another word for decreasing is falling. We start falling at -4, and then it keeps falling to positive infinity. Okay, almost done. So there's our x-axis, and I want to know, where are we above, where are we greater than or equal to 0? Well, we're greater than or equal to 0 from the interval -6 to negative 2. And then where are we below? Where we're below 0 the rest of the time. We're below 0, less than or equal to 0 from negative infinity to negative 6. There's a break. That's where the union is. I'm going to make that look like a better bracket. And then from negative 2 to positive infinity. Right. So it's asking us to graph and identify the important information. So let's look at number 5. I see that a equals negative 1, so we're going to be going down. And then my vertex is 3, negative 4. So that's what I want to graph first. So I'm going to go to positive 3, negative 4. And then I'm following the pattern down 1 over 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. Okay, when we're graphing, make sure that we have the arrows. Now the vertex we just did. We said that the vertex was, nope, not negative 3, but positive 3, negative 4. My axis of symmetry is whatever my x value is, that's my axis of symmetry because that is the line that cuts your parabola in half. Now my y-intercept, I can't see my y-intercept, so when I can't see it, I need to plug in 0. So we would say that y equals negative 0 minus 3 squared minus 4. And you can either do it in your head or you can do it in your calculator. Okay? So we have negative 0 minus 3 squared, and the rest of it was minus 4. Okay, and we get negative 13. So 0, negative 13. And is this a max or a min? Well, right here I can see the highest point, so this is a max. Okay, so that was number 5 and number 6. So looking at number 6, it is a little bit different because it's in vertex form. Not vertex form, it's in standard form, Mr. Grice. So when it's in standard form, the first thing that we have to do is take the opposite of b and divide it by 2 times a. So that's negative 12, and 2 times 2 is 4, which gives us negative 3. So I know that my vertex, part of it is negative 3, but since that's the x value, I know that my axis of symmetry is at negative 3. And we can come in here, go to negative 3, and graph that. Now, to figure out the y value, we would just plug in negative 3. So 2 times negative 3 squared plus 12 times negative 3 plus 9. Okay, so 2 times negative 3 squared, what's the rest of it? Times, or plus 12 times negative 3, and then plus 9. And we get negative 9. And so that was, when you plug in negative 3, we get positive 9, or negative 9. Right? Okay, so at negative 3, negative 9, that's where we go. And I have a pattern of 2. A equals 2, so it's going up. So I go up 2 over 1, and up 2, 4, 6, 8 over 2. Now, the next thing that we got to do is we have to find the y-intercept, so we're going to plug in 0. So 2 times 0 squared, that's 0, plus 12 times 0, plus 9. So we get a y-intercept of 0, 9. And then is it a max or is it a min? Well, look at the bottom right here. I can see it, and that's as low as it go. So that is the minimum value. All right, let's go ahead and flip it over. So number 7 is asking us to graph the systems and to write the solution. Looking at our first one, I see that it's quadratic. It's going up. A equals 1. And then my vertex is at 4, -3. Okay? So at 4, -3 is where I start. I'm going up 1 over 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. Now that I have that, I can graph. And there we go. All right, looking at our next one, it's got the absolute value, so I know it's a V, and it's going down. Okay, my A is -1, and then my vertex is at 2, 1. So at 2, 1, that's where I first start, and then I'm going down 1 over 1. Boom, and I find both points. So once I find both points, I'm just going to do a couple more points, and then I'm going to graph. Okay? Use that straight edge, make it nice and straight. And then I like to circle my points so I know where they are. And then there are the points. 2, 1, and then that looks like it is 5, -2. All right, number 8. Now, number 8 is going to be different because with number 8, we have inequalities. Okay, so inequalities means we're going to be doing the shading. All right, so we ask ourselves the same thing. We need to know what the pattern is, what the vertex is, and then this is going to be open, and it's less than, so that means I'm going to shade below. So at -3, +5 is where I start. Let's make that look a little bit nicer. Kind of zoom in a little bit. So -3, +5 is where I start, and I go down 2 over 1, and then 2, 4, 6, 8 over 2. Okay, and then we just graph the parabola. Remember, open has open points and dashed lines. All right, next. We have a linear equation. My slope is 2 over 5, which means we're going up 2 to the right 5. I start at 0, 2, and then it is closed and above. So at 0, 2 is where I have to start. I'm going up 2 over 5, up 2 over 5, down 2 over 5, down 2 over 5. Okay, and then you need to get your straight edge out so you can graph that. Okay, line up your points. And there we go. All right, so I had to shade below. Here, we'll do the numbers. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so if I need to be below the red, the only guys that are below the red are 2 and 4. But I have to be above the blue, so the only section I can color is 2. So section 2 is what I'm going to color. That's what I'm shading. And then I need to give a sample solution. Well, a sample solution is anything in the shaded area, And I'm going to go right there. That is the point 1, 2, 3, negative 3, positive 2. All right, and we are getting there. We're almost done. So number 9 is saying that we need to write a system of inequalities for the graph below and identify a point in the solution set. All right, so I'm going to match my colors. We'll start with blue. Blue is an absolute value. I see that it's open and we shaded above. So open and above is greater. I need to know my vertex, which is 1, negative 4. And then my pattern just looks like it's a, oh, sorry, that's not a point, positive 1. So we would say that y is greater than 1 times the absolute value of x minus 1 minus 4. Okay, let's look at the quadratic. So the quadratic, the first thing that I'm looking at my pattern, and it looks like it's a negative 1 pattern because it's going down. My vertex is at 5, 5, so 5, 5. It is closed, and we shaded below. So closed and below, there we go. So y is less than or equal to negative 2 parentheses x minus 5 squared plus 5. And then giving a point anywhere that's shaded, I'm just going to go right there, and that is the 0.5, 2. All right, number 9. A ball is thrown off of the top of a building, and the height of the ball in feet is given by the function h of t equals negative 16t squared plus 64, where t is time measured in seconds. So remember, this is our gravity equation. We have 48, that's our velocity. It's 48 feet per second. We know that 64 is our starting height. But they want to know the max height. So when we're trying to find the max height, we need the vertex. So to find the vertex, I'm going to take the opposite of b over 2 times a. So we have negative 48, and 2 times negative 16 is negative 32. And then I need negative 48 divided by negative 32, which is going to give us a decimal, which is 1.5. Now, 1.5 is the seconds. To find the height, I need to take that 1.5, sorry, h of 1.5 and plug it in. So we have negative 16 times 1.5 squared plus 48 times 1.5 plus 64. Okay, and just plug that into your calculator and tell me what you get. Okay, and after plugging that in, you should have gotten that it was 100 feet. Now, B, how long does it take for the ball to hit the ground? Well, if it hits the ground, that means my height is 0. So we have 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 48t plus 64. We're going to zoom in on this so it actually, my handwriting looks good as I'm doing this. So 16t squared plus 48t plus 64. The first thing I want to do is take out a GCF. I'm pretty sure 16 goes into all of those, right? Yeah. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 16. We have 0 equals, my GCF goes out front, it doesn't disappear. And then I'm left with t squared minus 3t minus 4. factoring this, I want numbers that multiply to -4 and add to get to -3. Well, there's only one combination that works, and that's 1 and 4, and my 4 is negative. Since my leading coefficient is 1, I can do the shortcut. So we have t plus 1 and t minus 4. And then we set up everything with a variable equal to 0. So we have t equaling -1 and t equaling +4. We know that we can't have negative time. So our answer is the 4 seconds. All right. Number 11 and number 12 are both doing rate of change. So when we see that rate of change, I want to know what happens when I plug those guys into the equation. All right, so what we're going to do for each one of these, we're going to say f of 2 and then f of 6. So first thing I want you to do is plug those numbers in and find out what you get. Okay, pause the video and good luck. Okay, so you should have gotten 4 and 12. Now, the way that I did that is I plugged it into my y equals, and then I went to my table to get the answers. Okay? So now that I'm over here, I need to do my slope, my y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So I'm going to rewrite those 2 comma 4, 6 comma 12, and then it's easier for me to see the points. So I have 12 minus 4, which is 8, 6 minus 2, which is 4, and then 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay. Number 13, I'm going to zoom in and do number 13, and then you guys are doing the last two by your own. Okay. So when we're doing 13, I take b divided by 2 and square it. So I have -6 divided by 2, which is -3, squared is 9. So we have x squared minus 6x plus 13. Remember that we do the 2 breaks right here where we add 9, and remember we subtract it on the other side to balance the equation. Okay, we're looking for numbers that multiply to 9 and add to -6, which is -3 and -3. So this breaks down to x minus 3, x minus 3, and 13 minus 9 is a +4. And the final thing to do would make it f of x equals x minus 3 squared plus 4. Okay? All right, well, you guys are on your own for these two. Go ahead and pause the video, and then when you're back, you'll see my answers. Good luck. Remember to try them. Don't just copy. Okay, and you can see my two answers of -1 and f of x equals x plus 4 squared minus 7. Now, if you need any extra help or getting stuck, please come see Ms. Carranza or myself because this is the last review before your test. All right, well, this is Mr. Grice signing off for Algebra 2 Unit 4.7 through 4.14 Review B. Thanks for watching.